we are going to be creating these fins, and the first thing to remember is this image may look a little unusual in seeing seeing this weird third fin. So just ignore it. That is just a problem with how the orthographic images came out. So there is no strange fin here. It is this and that we are creating. Okay. So the first thing I'll do is make sure we have symmetry on, and confirm that when I select one side, the other side also gets selected correctly. Very good. Now we're going to create this fin. So when you look at the fin, this is what we're creating actually. This fin here. You see that it's coming off from this area, because we have an edge created here. So this fin comes after that edge. So what we're going to do is we're going to create extrude the fin out, basically, right? And for that, I'm going to remember when you in 3D modeling, the whole goal is that nothing is wasted. So I'm not going to be creating an edge loop just for the fin. I'm creating an edge loop here because, well, it helps the profile and it's going to help me with the fin. So the first thing I'm doing is to make sure that this is the new edge loop I created is placed correctly. See, I just snapped its center point to the grid, so I can scale it up just right. Very good. So I worked on curving the lines, and now I'm ready for this. So what I'll do is I'll select this fin, or actually this polygon, and extrude it. So it can get a little distracting with these two fins here, but just go for the side profile picture, right? So what I'm going to do is, and it's okay to be slightly off from the imagery also. So I'm just going to extrude it out like this and create the overall shaping. Oops.
We didn't miss any setup, right?
Okay, so I selected this, and I'm just bringing it close like this. I'm just roughing it out, and see, I'll scale it. So it should not be a thick fin. The ends are going to be very, very thin, not sharp like that, but just slightly this much. And it doesn't have to match any of these, because it's nothing's. Don't just use the image now just for a visual guidance only, because I really want the fin just to be, hanging out like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this. I will create. See, the fin doesn't start that thick, because you can see that it's actually a small muscle here. So how do you create that? Well, I can just insert an edge loop right here, and I think it's time for me to reset Maya. This is showing strangeness. Let's see how far I can go. Okay, here we go. And I'll just let me hide the image plane, and so just comparing it with this gives me a general picture that it's just maybe just half an inch or so of tissue from which, and then the fin comes out of it. I will confirm that overall. I'll use this front image just to give me general guidance on placement of various things, like this maybe here, maybe this goes here, and also great. The next thing we'll do is thicken this fin. That is, you can start thinking of something right around here, and that'll help with you can see that it's time for us to add more polygons, not necessarily more polygons, not necessarily just in this direction, but also in this direction, because see, this is totally flat here. So remember, we're still very interested in making an edge loop, not necessarily just for the fin, but throughout. So now you see that when I place an edge loop here, it does go throughout the entire fish, you see. So I will place one right in the middle here. It'll help me with this, defining this better, and it'll help me with this entire side. So let me spend a minute to just work on this the side first, then I'll work on this. There. So now that I have worked on the sides, I can work on the fin now. So it's just basic moving points about and just improving the profile. I think this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. Great. So now I can add even more definition. Insert edge loop right here. See? Insert edge loop, say here. At this point, you know, if your work is slightly different from this, if you add something slightly different, maybe you want a couple more here, it's all fine. Go for it. The goal is to make the fins look organic and effective and attractive. See, I'm trying to round out everything. I'll take some general guidance from what this is looking like and just go with it. Now that I've put some definition here, I'm thinking it would be nice to to remove this flatness. See how flat it is at the top? I could actually insert an edge loop right in the middle, and it could actually help out with the fin nicely, and it'll help give me more things to work with here as well. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm placing it here, but the only issue is when I place this edge loop here, notice that it's a little crowded now here, you know. I don't need a lot here. I just want if only there's a way for me to kind of slide these selectively to the right side, and actually there is. So it's just very smart. All we need is some smart thinking about how we're going to handle all this. So what I'll do is I'll select these and place it here and just kind of slide it this way. See? And scale it down so it's all good. Just fix it up as you go. all that was just to create this one edge loop in the middle that'll help out this fin. Because fin would need a lot of geometry to make it look nice and smooth and organic. So I did not want to waste that one huge edge loop here. So I just placed that edge loop and then slid everything else around, so it still works up a nice organic looking geometry. So I just again fix it up if it's not quite right yet. So spend the time to make it all nice and curved. See, like this. Before you move on to the fin itself. Okay, so let's say, okay, there it is. I could still spend a little more time, but it's looking about right. Now I can work on the fin. So with this extra new thing here, this really helps out because you can really shape this better now. I can make it look more organic. Remember, this is rounded. This can be made to go up, or rather, what I'll do is I'll select these two and push it downwards. And guys, you do not have to do exactly what I'm doing here. This is just it's like what you feel you have to do is what you want to do. And the goal is the same though. It's just to make it all nice and organic. So I made the profile of this more rounder. That was the point. Now what about this? This is interesting. See, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just slide it downwards. And this is a good time for me to use that little trick to slide it exactly downwards. Because how do I know it's, well, this is fine. I could just, here it is, just slide it downwards. Or you could have used our, remember, double click this and say set to component, and you choose a component and slide it straight down. You remember that. Okay. And the goal and the reason is to get a nice rounded profile for the fin. Yeah, I could use that. Double click, set to component, say set to that component, slide it downwards towards that. Great. And these two, set to component, this component, slide it that way. These two, set to component, say this way. Actually, that's not good. Let's do it. That's not good. I mean, that was not a good choice. So I'll say, right. So we've got the fin nice and rounded, so you can see how smooth and clean it looks. And one thing it could certainly use is a little more definition in this area. This is nicely done by an Extrude right here, which you can scale and round out nicely and touch it up by individually shaping up these points. There you go. So I've made this also nice and rounded, or nice and oval. So there you have it. So that concludes creating the side fins.